topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Barry G. Fowler, EA, brings you Tax Talk for You right here on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. As an enrolled agent and a national leader in tax resolution, as well as trucker, bookkeeping, and tax planning with over 30 years of experience, Barry will break down taxes, bookkeeping, tax planning, and tax relief for individuals and businesses just like you. So let's have some Tax Talk for You with your host, Barry G. Fowler.
Good morning. Another happy Monday morning. Hopefully everybody had a wonderful and happy Easter with family and got to spend a lot of time with family. Waking up this morning in the news and you see that Pope Francis passed away, so God rest his soul. Pray for him and everyone in the church. So today, starting Mondays and we're done with tax season. Hopefully you got your returns filed or you got your extension in, and maybe you're starting to think about 2025. And maybe you haven't done any tax planning. Maybe you haven't done any business planning. Maybe you haven't really thought ahead about what you should be doing, both personal and business. And maybe, I know this is the bad word people talk about, budgeting. I mean, in my household, if we sit down and say the word budget, my wife's eyes kind of roll like, here we go again. He's trying to control what we spend. And yes, it is about controlling what you spend, because at the end of the day, it's what you have left in your bank account and not what you own, not the toys that you have. It's the money that you can retire on, build your business with, expand your business with. It's budgeting. I know nobody likes to sit down and create a budget. Matter of fact, in school, I don't even know that they actually teach budgeting, business or personal. Matter of fact, I don't even know that they really talk about personal finances. I know they don't talk about writing checks anymore. These days, it's Zelle, Venmo. Quickest way of transferring money, between people, or sometimes paying for things. You now have Apple Pay or credit cards or whatever, and it doesn't really seem like real money. I've got a kid that's in physical therapy school for his doctorate, and he's on student loans. And talking to me the other day about, I want to go get fitted for a new driver for my golf bag, and I want to go get a custom driver. And I'm like, son, you either have bigger eyes and more money than I do, or you don't realize how much money you don't have. Go back, look at your budget. Yeah, we created a budget for him for the 2.5 years that he's going to be in physical therapy school getting his doctorate, and he doesn't have time to work. They're at school from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m., Monday through Friday. They get a little bit of time here or there to be able to, work in the clinic or something else, but they don't get paid for that. So it is all pure student loans for him. Got to go back and look at your budget. Do you have a budget for this item? So budgeting becomes, important. You don't set your business up or your life up intentionally to fail. But do you actually know what your numbers are? So budgeting is exactly what you're doing, is trying to make sure that you're not set up to fail, that you know your numbers and you know where you're heading. Money problems, bad bookkeeping are kind of two big reasons why many small businesses don't make it past their first 5 years. And statistics show that many businesses fail in their first 5 years. And budgeting can be overwhelming. I mean, we get it. For a lot of business leaders, it's a lot more comfortable to dream up big ideas and getting stuff done than getting into numbers. But you can't set yourself up for success, steady growth, until you have a good handle on the money flowing in and out of your company. And as a matter of fact, there's going to be no financial peace until you understand these numbers. Now, we're number people. You may not be. It's okay. If you just follow some of these simple steps and learn how to create a budget for your business, and then we'll also talk about managing your personal finances, and you'll be able to do it with a lot more confidence. So, these are the things that you need to start thinking about it. So go back to the basics. What's a business budget? It's a plan. How you're going to use your money to generate business every single month, quarter, and year. So how are you going to drive this business? You need to look at your expenses, your revenue, and the profit that's going to be coming down the road. It's going to help you decide, what are you going to do with the profits from your business, or when and where to cut spending and grow your revenues, and how to invest for growth when the time comes. Budgeting is going to give you the insights of where to go with your money, than having no clue, no idea, or even wondering where your money went. Budgeting is not your profit and loss that you look at the end of the month. That profit and loss looks at the past, doesn't look to the future. Your budget is going to be making you look to the future. It helps you identify the areas that you need to strengthen and grow. Looking in the past sees what you've done wrong in the past, or how you want to improve going forward in the future. So don't get me wrong, profit and losses are extremely important. They can be used to set up your budget for the future and future planning. So we always say, your first task in business is budgeting. Of 33.2 million plus small businesses in the U.S., and it's a lot more than that. It's probably 34, 35 million out there, because, since COVID, this has drastically expanded people wanting to get out into business, working for themselves instead of working under other people. But a lot of times these businesses fail because of cash flow, pricing or cost issues, pricing of your products or services that you sell, cost issues of the materials and the goods, or even the people required to do the business. We're not planned for. We're not budgeted for. Now, we're going to tell you that, just doing a budget alone isn't going to help you earn more money. but it is going to maximize the money you have. It's going to help you manage your cash flows, help you spend less than your business earns, help you stay on top of bills and taxes. And then budget's going to help you know if you're hitting your numbers so you can move and be flexible in your business as it is needed or required. So creating your budget, let's start with revenues. You got to know what the income is or projected is to come into your business. Where are you going to earn your money for the products or services that you sell? If you go back and look at last month's profit and loss, or the last couple of months profit and loss, or go back and look at your checking account statement to see how much income you have coming in. You're just looking right now at what are your income streams? What brings in the revenue? If you're running a HVAC business, it could be maintenance costs, service repairs and sales, new unit sales, installation sales, maybe air duct cleaning. If you're an owner operator, truck driver, it's going to be transporting the goods out there. Are you using a broker? Are you getting the loads yourself, or are you leased on? All things that you need to be looking at to determine what your revenues are that are coming in. Now, right after this break, we're going to talk about cost of goods sold, cost of services, so that you can build upon that. And we'll be right back after this.
We have only scratched the surface of today's show. Please stand by as Barry G. Fowler will be right back with Tax Talk for You. If you owe the IRS or are going through an IRS audit, don't go at it alone. Call Taxation Solutions Tax Relief at 888-930-1016. We are your solution for IRS debts, audits, back taxes, garnishments, liens, and levies. Whether you're an individual or business, you need a solution and a strong, aggressive tax resolution. Don't let the IRS walk all over you. Stop the IRS now. Call 888-930-1016 or go to taxationsolutions.net now for a free, no obligation consultation. Let's get back to Tax Talk for You with more Tax Talk. Once again, here's your host, Barry G. Fowler.
Hey, budgeting. Nobody likes budgeting. And, we're talking about business budgeting here in the first couple of segments. We're going to talk about personal budgeting later on. But in business, you got to start getting together. What are your cost of goods? What is your cost of service? What is the cost to provide these services? These are expenses directly related to producing your product or your service. In trucking business, it's, fuel, tolls, scale fees. These are items that are directly related to moving goods from one place to another. If you're in an HVAC business, it could be the cost of the AC or heating units, cost of your inventory. These items are costs. So what does it cost to have that product on hand available to sell or install? And then you're also going to start listing down your expense categories. It's really kind of crazy sometimes how much money is going to slip through your fingers when you're not careful about putting it into a budget. Think about all your business expenses, down to the safety gear that you have to buy in the trucking, business. to safety gear that you have to wear to protect a client's home or office that you're in repairing or fixing. Your items can be things like your payroll, your rent, your utilities, your insurance, office supplies, equipment, marketing, if you do marketing or advertising, your technology services, training and education. All these things are, important. What are your truck payments? Principal, interest, truck repairs. What are you projecting? Truck repairs going out into the future, normal maintenance, large scale maintenance. You start going down this list of items, and you can go back and look at your prior profit and loss and to see the different expense categories that you have and the expenses that it takes to run your truck, run your business, or whatever it may be. And you got to go through and have all those different categories. And you might even want to get to where you break it down even more into the nitty gritty so that you can really identify the expenses that you have going in and out of your business. And so now that you have kind of a solid list of categories for both revenues, expenses, cost of goods sold, cost of services, now you start plugging in some real numbers. This isn't hardcore. Sometimes you don't know what those numbers are. Sometimes you got to make an educated guess, especially if you're just starting out. But if you've been earning income for a little while, go back and look at those past profit and loss statements to guide you to know kind of what to expect, what you're going to be bringing in. That first budget is about having a very thoughtful guess with history, and then starting to get more realistic month in and month out as you go through the business. Start calculating what your expected profit or loss is going to be. Each new employee that you add into your business is going to be pure expense until that employee starts to help you generate more revenue. See, if you're bringing in, we're going to use some round numbers here, $10,000 a month, and maybe your expenses are $7,000 a month and you net $3,000. So that's your projected profit. You add somebody for staff to come in and you bring them in for $3,000, you're now net profit of $0. That's staff member just cost you $3,000 plus taxes that you're going to pay on them every single month until that employee helps you generate additional revenues to cover their costs. So you got to be prepared and look at all these expenses. So you're taking your, gross revenues, subtracting your cost of goods sold, subtracting your expenses, and then you get down to the profit or loss for the business. Now, don't freak out, if this first budget you're doing actually shows a loss. It happens a lot, especially in the first several months of doing a budget, and then you learn more about what's coming in, what is going out, and how to make the adjustments to your budget and your actual expenses to generate a better profit. Now, in this budget, let's be honest, you got to start planning for emergencies, setting aside money for large truck repairs if you're an owner-operator out there. or possibly purchasing a new tractor or trailer. Or maybe looking for investments, buying a building, buying land, land for a truck parking lot, buying a building for, let's say, a daycare. If you're going to open a daycare and need space in your own land, buying a building. So these are all things that you start planning and doing in your budgeting for your business to be successful in your business. And success doesn't mean hitting the highest number possible in revenues. What good is $10 million in revenues if you're still losing money every month? I've been there, done that. Hit high revenue numbers and still felt the effect of having losses because of heavy outgo between advertising or marketing or sales staff or administrative staff, not generating enough revenues or not getting enough calls from the marketing that is going out. That's why reviewing your budget often. And so you've gotten that first budget under your belt. Take a step back. Take a deep breath. Celebration is quick, easy, and over. Now, that is a huge accomplishment for you and your business. And now it gets easier. You can take that Excel spreadsheet, whatever you use to do that budget, and now you can cut and paste and play with that budget to refine it. Budget in the drawer doesn't do you any good. Budget saved in a file doesn't do you any good. Look at it. Review it. Consistently update it. Modify the plans and make them work. If you're doing advertising, is the advertising actually generating the dollars that you need? Is it generating enough phone calls if you're in a service business expecting to sell a service? Is it bringing in the customers to your retail business to sell your products to through the advertising that you're doing? Maybe it's not the advertising. Maybe it is the staff. Are they selling? Are they closing? Maybe it's a combination of both. There's not enough incoming calls to generate enough revenue to support your sales staff. So you got to do something different. Change it, modify it. Ask yourself a few questions with your budget. Are we on target to hit our revenue goal this month, this year, this quarter? If not, what can we do to change to get there? Are there expenses that we can minimize or cut to increase profit? Then you need to go back and review your business to budget to your profit and loss every month. Make that comparison. Otherwise, how are you going to know really what you're doing? And we're going to talk about a few more next steps. We're also going to talk about personal budgeting and a wonderful phone call I had with a client about budgeting for personal as well as business. And we'll talk about that right after this.
We have only scratched the surface of today's show. Please stand by as Barry G. Fowler will be right back with Tax Talk for You. As an owner-operator, you already spend too much time away from your family. Trucker Tax Tools handles all your bookkeeping and taxes no matter what level trucker you are. Life on the road can be taxing, but that doesn't mean that your wallet or time with your family should suffer. Trucker Tax Tools makes your life run smoothly. Go to truckertaxtools.com for a free guide that will give you the tools to never worry about your taxes again. Call Trucker Tax Tools at 877-966-2477 or go to truckertaxtools.com now and let the experts keep you trucking. Let's get back to Tax Talk for You with more Tax Talk. Once again, here's your host, Barry G. Fowler.
Hey, welcome back. TruckerTaxTools.com. If you go there, we got wonderful pricing. We're talking about budgeting, and we talk about keeping and minimizing expenses as well. Bookkeeping and taxes is not something that you want to skip. You want to make sure you've got that professional fee line item in your budget. And in any business that's out there, having a good bookkeeping and tax service is really what you need to stay ahead and be able to use a good profit and loss to compare to your budget, or even having a good profit and loss to start your budget. And that sometimes is where you're going to start from. So if you're in trucking business, go to truckertaxtools.com and hit the link in there. Get a quote for your trucker bookkeeping services. Hey, we start $25 a week. Now that's a very, very low cost to get your trucker bookkeeping done for you. Simple, easy. As a matter of fact, most people that come to Trucker Tax Tools are very surprised at how easy we make bookkeeping and taxes for you, including tax planning, to be able to help you find ways to save more money on taxes and keep more of your hard-earned dollars in your pocket. And that's important when you're in business. Hey, you've completed that first month's budget. Now the challenge is to extrapolate. Make that budget to a 12-month, 18-month, 3-year, 5-year plan. What are your goals for your business? Budgeting helps you take and go from looking at 1 month to maybe a quarter, to maybe 6 months to a year, to 18 months to 5 years. Put that plan for success in place so that you have the ultimate goal that you need to create the roadmap to success. When you're an owner operator, I guarantee you, you don't go anywhere without your GPS, your roadmap to where you're going to be. Why be in business without a roadmap to success? And then own those numbers. We all try to avoid it. Own it. Take ownership of it. Be proud that you've created the budget and you compare your budget to your profit and loss so that you know that you're continuing to head the right direction to success. Hey, I promised you a story. I get on a show called Ask the Experts with Steve-O, and they usually, we talk about my stories all the time. And a lot of times the stories about tax resolution, tax relief, dealing with the IRS, saving people money by helping them with tax planning and everything. But this story is about budgeting. And, people hate that word budgeting and don't like being on a budget. They feel constricted, like, oh my gosh, you're trying to restrict me from what I want to spend or what I want to do. I have two wonderful young ladies that are clients of ours that happen to run a few daycares and everything out there. And we started talking about personal budgeting. Now, this came up because they asked the question, why do I never have any money? But we pay a lot in taxes. See, these ladies are very good at what they do in business. They run some ultimate daycares out there that create huge profits. But at the end of the day, they have nothing to show for it. Nothing in their bank account. They spend way more than you and I do. Because, let's be honest, they make a lot of money. We do a lot of tax planning with them to try to help them save money. But they don't have a constraint or budget. They know how to make money hand over fist, but they don't know how to keep the money. And so we had a good laugh about it. But it came down to very serious. We want to do some investing that's going to save us money. Well, you can't invest money that you don't have. Well, what do you mean? You've got nothing in the bank to show for the profits that you have. You can barely afford to pay the huge amount of tax that you're paying because your businesses are so profitable. But yet the money pours out from the personal side like running water. It's time to close the spigots, and it's time to start budgeting, putting some financial constraints on yourself so you can have the money available to invest. You're young enough right now to put money in retirement, to put money set aside to do some of the investments that possibly could save you a ton of money on taxes. So again, where do you start personally? That was the question. Matter of fact, I told these two young ladies when I was on the phone with you, you had homework assignment for the weekend. Did they accomplish it? No, it wasn't important to them. You got to place the importance on this. That's the starting point. Placing the importance on budgeting, on saving money, having money left over in your bank account to invest or do other things. Plan for retirement. I mean, can you imagine making money hand over fist and not having any money to retire on when you want to retire? I mean, that's the way these two are going. You don't need to be one of them. So the first thing you need to do is sit down with yourself. And if you're a W-2 employee, this is really easy. How much money is being deposited into my bank account every payroll, every month? This is my monthly income after federal, state, Social Security, and Medicare tax. If you're self-employed, this is the amount of money that you're putting into your personal account before tax. Then we've got to add the taxes and subtract the taxes from those revenues. That's Social Security, 15.3%, including Medicare, then your federal income tax, and then your state income tax, if you have it. Then you're going to start looking at outgo. Now, I'm a believer in a very good book, The Wealthy Barber, where you take the first 10% of whatever you made and you put it into your own savings account. So if you want to read a good book, Wealthy Barber is a very good book to read. So we can start from there. First 10% is your money. Now, mortgage or rent. What is that? Your homeowner's insurance, homeowners association dues. Maybe this is all in one payment for your house. Maybe you pay your own insurance, your own property taxes, and your own homeowners association dues yourself, and you don't escrow it. Those got to be line items in your budget. How much are you spending for food, utilities, water, electric, gas? What are your transportation costs? Car insurance, automobile fuel, automobile repairs, household items, household supplies, debt. What are you paying credit cards? Hopefully you don't have credit card debt, but if you do, you got to list those out. How much money should you be putting away for retirement? Then you've got to look at personal and entertainment, and then other expenses. So once you go through and you start looking at all of that, now you take your monthly in-go and subtract your monthly out-go. And that is what you're projected left over. Hey, we're going to talk about that easy budgeting and continuing where to start when you're doing personal budgeting. And we're going to do that right after this break.
We have only scratched the surface of today's show. Please stand by as Barry G. Fowler will be right back with Tax Talk for You. As an owner-operator, you already spend too much time away from your family. Stop spending time doing paperwork. Go to TruckerTaxTools.com, a solution built specifically for truckers. TruckerTaxTools.com makes your life run smoothly. Let's get back to Tax Talk for You with more Tax Talk. Once again, here's your host, Barry G. Fowler.
Okay, I said, hey, there's going to be a simple way to do this. Well, one of the simple ways of doing this is look back at last month. Take your bank statement, and if you're maintaining a good checkbook, you can go to your check register. And if you've been writing all your income and outgo in the register and keeping tabs of what's in your account like you should be, like you should have been taught in school to do, then you can go back and look at having a good idea of what your income and outgo was. Now, if you're like us, we run a lot of stuff across one of our credit cards, and we fully pay the credit card off every month. You can go back to your credit card statements as well. So you take your bank statements, your credit card statements, and you start looking at what income was coming into your account, which you should know if you're W-2. You should know if you're a business owner what you've transferred into your account, or if you're an S-Corp in your payroll that's coming over. You then have an idea of what your income is. Now you can go back and look at all your outgo. What subtracts on your register? What's subtracted out of your bank account on your bank statement? So you can get your numbers. Now, when you get down to it and you see it's a negative number, hey, don't freak out. It's a wake-up call, but don't freak out. So you need to start adjusting your life. Maybe you're giving more than you should. Maybe you're overspending in certain categories. Go back and look at it. Are you going out to eat all the time? Maybe you're going out for lunches. Going out for lunches can cost you, $15 a day. Maybe it's time to bring a sack lunch. Cook at home. Bring leftovers. Whatever you've got to do to help you stop overspending. See, I talk about things like this with my daughter and my sons. And when, you're on a budget, you got to start planning. And that means, hey, going out to eat isn't cheap. It's quite expensive. And when you are on a very limited income, preparing extra meals the night before, that is much cheaper than going to a restaurant or a fast food place to get a bite to eat. Have you ever looked at what sometimes these fast food places are charging you at the end of the day? Or maybe you're going to one of these coffee joints and you're getting coffee every morning, and that $3 coffee every single day adds up. Or that $5 coffee every single day adds up. At 5 days a week, it's $25 a week. It's simply $100 a month, $1,200 a year. If you're making coffee, when you get to work, it doesn't cost you because your employer is probably providing you those coffee pots. And that only costs maybe your employer 30 cents a piece, but it saves you $5 every single day. That's money in your pocket. My daughter wonders why I don't go stop and pick up a cup of coffee. Because it's $5 in my pocket. And I don't believe that is a good use of my funds. Going out to eat and going out to lunch, sometimes I look at some of these places that my wife and I work together, that when you go there and you buy, 2 meals, it's $20-some and it's fast food. Some of the restaurants you can go and eat just as good as fast food, having a meal made at about maybe just a few dollars more, or you split a meal. Things like that. But it's a lot cheaper to bring in leftovers than it is to run out to pick up food at a fast food restaurant. So you got to look at your budget. What are your categories? Hey, Dave Ramsey has some good calculators out there. If you look at Dave Ramsey or RamseySolutions.com, they have a great budget calculator that you could actually use for free and use that strategically to figure out how you're going to get step 1, a starter fund. Step 2, a larger emergency fund. Step 3, gaining ground on savings. He does the 7 baby steps. If you walk through those 7 baby steps of Dave Ramsey, of having that emergency fund, then starting to pay off that debt that you have, whether it's credit card debt or any other loans that you have out there. He doesn't include, the house. Getting a 3 to 6 month of expenses in a emergency fund, then investing 15% of your household income in retirement, and then finally saving for your child's education, and then baby step 6, paying off your home early, and step 7 is building wealth and giving. These are steps that you can actually apply in your life to make things better for you and your family in the future. See, a long time ago, my father, the great man that he was, started the family in talking about budgeting. My father did an extensive spreadsheet every year for a budget. We sit down every year and budget. What are our plans for giving money for birthdays or gifts or holidays, whatever it may be, giving to our church? One thing that he always said is debt is bad. Yeah, I didn't learn that lesson early enough. Fell in the trap of debt. Debt. Ran credit cards up. Matter of fact, even did a consolidation loan at one point and then ended up running credit cards up. Control over spending in your family is important, and budgeting is that control feature. But once we took the step to say we don't want to be in debt, I've argued with Dave Ramsey's and some of the thoughts of like purchasing a car, maybe buying a used car where you don't have the initial depreciation when you drive it off the lot. versus buying a new car. Sometimes you want that new car, new truck, and you got to buy it. Argued with them, is 0% interest good? Well, 0% interest is good. It's an enticement to get you to go out and buy a vehicle or to put more money on a credit card. And I would never, ever say that using debt like that is good unless you have the funds to immediately pay it off at any point in time. So, using debt wisely is sometimes good, and it's good sometimes to generate the business. Owner-operators, you need a new tractor, you need a new trailer, or a used one. You've got to apply sometimes financing for business. Watch the rates. Make sure they're not charging you too much. I've seen people that have not read agreements and don't understand how it affects your budget because of the interest rates are extremely, extremely high on that purchase of that tractor and trailer. You need to be aware. So when we're talking about saving money, these are all items to help you save money. Putting that budget together, business, to establish the way you're going to make money. And we're not talking about gross revenues. We're talking about net income after expenses. Then the money that you're taking from your business or you're earning from your W-2 job, how do you budget and save money so that at the end of the day, when you're looking at your budget, you're not looking at a net loss, you're looking at net income. Money that you can use to pay down credit cards, to stop from that snowballing debt, to pay off auto loans, tractor loans, farm loans, home loans, whatever it may be, to build that emergency fund. The 3 to 6 months that you need so that you have something to fall back on. To build where you can start putting 15% of your household income in retirement every month or more. To where you can save to help your kids get through college if they so choose. Or maybe to be able to invest and help your child start a successful business of their own as well, and you're their investor. To get to the point to where you can pay off your home early. All these things are important. Now, if you're an owner-operator, you need to know where to get started. Get started at truckertaxtools.com. $25 a week, bookkeeping special. Man, you can't beat it. Pick up the phone and call us at 877-996-2477. Again, 877-996-2477, or go to truckertaxtools.com. Hey, I have fun here at Tax Talk For You. Go to taxtalk4u.com. Click like, follow, subscribe. Subscribe for free so you never miss an episode of Tax Talk For You. Hey, next week, we're going to continue talking about taxes. We're going to talk about owner-operators, truckers, bookkeeping, trucker taxes, how to save money. Maybe we'll even touch more on your questions on budgeting and putting money away for your life, your family. Tune in right here on W4CY Radio, taxtalk4u.com. Like and share. Follow us on Facebook. Don't miss an episode. Join us here. Thank you. Have a God-blessed and glorious week. See you next week.
Are you an individual or business that wants to understand taxes and how they affect you? Are you looking for specific tax advice for self-employed, business owners, and truckers? Are you behind on taxes and your bookkeeping? Are you dealing with the IRS and ready to have some relief? Then you need Tax Talk for You, hosted by tax and trucker expert Barry G. Fowler, EA. Tune in 10 a.m. Eastern Time every Monday right here on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Don't forget to check this and past episodes at TaxTalkForYou.com. See you next week at W4CY.com.